Time to say good evening, or good afternoon, pardon me. I'm Kashechewan. Welcome to APTN National News Daytime. Members of the Canadian Armed Forces are on the ground in the Pimicikamak Cree Nation in northern Manitoba, surveying the damage following a nearly week-long power outage.
So our top priorities right now, we're looking at the community's sewage plant and the 2 water treatment facilities. And simultaneously, we're also taking a look at some of the power generation systems, so the generators that are located at those various locations.
The team's technical assessment commander says they're in the process of assessing exactly what's going on at a number of locations in Pimicikamak. Those assessments will inform what additional resources are needed. The commander says the community has been doing a fantastic job keeping systems running as best they can, and even more help is arriving on Wednesday.
So we have a electrical distribution technician who's coming in, and we have a water filtration and environment technician as well. They'll both be key in helping do the assessment on the wastewater treatment facilities, as well as support the power generation systems. The third individual is a liaison officer to help us with the coordination efforts.
Based on those assessments, the officers will determine if any further support is required. Approximately 4,400 people from the First Nation are still evacuated in places like Thompson and Winnipeg. And in Ontario, evacuations continue out of the Kashechewan First Nation as the community continues to deal with a state of emergency. Now the First Nation is getting extra support from Indigenous leadership in Ontario. CTV's Angela Gemmel brings us the latest.
About 700 of the 2,200 residents of Kashechewan have been evacuated, with more expected in the coming week as leadership of the beleaguered First Nation work to fix all the issues.
No timeline right now. Right now, it's just assessing and also doing the repairs and making sure that the teams that are coming in have the proper resources.
It's been 10 days since the Northern Ontario community declared a state of emergency due to its failing water system. The water treatment system is being repaired, and Wesley says water is flowing from taps. However, it's heavily chlorinated and the do not consume order remains in place. But along with the water problems, some residents are sick with gastrointestinal issues.
There is no correlation right now, no real evidence to kind of tie the water to all of these issues, but we are asking public health to make sure that the people that are experiencing gastro issues to be tested to confirm whether or not it is bacteria from the water.
Pimicikamak Council represents 7 Cree First Nations in Northern Ontario. The chiefs of that group are demanding the federal and provincial governments commit to sustainable long-term solutions for water treatment and wastewater infrastructure in Kashechewan and other First Nations along the James Bay coast.
Because our water plant is outdated, and so are the other plants in the coastal communities.
Chief Friday calls the situation in Cache a humanitarian crisis.
They drink from the tap, and that tap is not really good. If you wanted to make tea, you see a cream oil on top of your tea when you make a tea. It's really something that nobody from down south would accept to use.
A contingent of First Nation leaders is expected in Kashechewan this Thursday to see the situation firsthand. Invited to be part of that is Minister of Indigenous Affairs Greg Rickford. Wesley is hopeful Rickford will prioritize the visit since he is supposed to work for First Nations. Angela Gemmel, CTV News, Sudbury.
A series of profanity-filled voicemails allegedly left by an elected official with Métis Nation Saskatchewan have been made public. The messages are said to be tied to a family feud, and they include insults and threats of violence. APTN video journalist Rachel May spoke with one of the people who says she was on the receiving end of some of those voicemails.
You're an ignorant. You will never, ever, ever get help from the Métis Nation. as long as I'm around.
That was one of many voicemails left by MNS Eastern Region 2 Representative Brent Dignas, according to his sister Dion Black. She says her brother left similar messages with other family members. She says a conflict began in 2020 when Dignas tried to take a road grader given to her and her husband, Wesley Black, by Dignas and Black's parents. Black says some voicemails date back to July 2025, but most were left on January 10th, 2026, with the final call around 7:30 p.m.
His volatile behavior is random. You don't know what is going to set him off.
She says after attending Métis local meetings and showing photos of her grandchild to MNS citizens, she received voicemails about her attendance.
Don't come to any more local meetings. You're not welcome there. You make me want to puke, you dirty rotten. You scatterbrained.
Black has filed RCMP reports and sought a protection order, but it was denied. She and her husband reported the most recent voicemail incident to the RCMP, hoping to secure an order this time. In a statement, MNS says Dignas has been removed from his ministerial roles and as chair of the Clarence Campo Development Fund and the Saskatchewan Métis Economic Development Corporation. President Glenn McCallum will assume those roles. The statement also says, quote, "These actions are necessary to uphold the integrity of our government and to adhere to the values we hold as Métis people." The MNS Ethics Committee is now investigating. Black says she hopes MNS upholds their code of conduct and takes action.
I want them to make him accountable and not just try to brush this under the table and minimize it. That this is serious, and he has done this. It's a repeated pattern of his, and it's escalating.
Black says she hopes Dignas is terminated and that 2 elected officials currently barred from provincial Métis Council meetings are reinstated, saying their actions do not compare to her brother's. Dignas apologized on his personal Facebook page, saying he accepts the consequences of his actions and asking not to be judged. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan RCMP is asking for the public's help in finding a missing Indigenous woman who was last seen over the weekend. According to RCMP, 31-year-old Darian Standing was last seen in the APTN Dakota Nation on Saturday, January 10th at around 8:30 p.m. She is known to frequent the Melfort area. However, her current whereabouts are unknown at this time. Standing's family has been notified and they are worried for her well-being. Darian Standing is 5'6", 120 pounds with brown eyes and long brown hair. She was last seen wearing a long black jacket, brown and black boots, and black leggings. If anyone knows where Standing is, please call Prince Albert RCMP at 310-RCMP or by calling Saskatchewan Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Wahpeton is located about 18 kilometers northwest of Prince Albert, just off of Highway 2. Manitoba RCMP have arrested a man who was allegedly firing a shotgun near a home on the Ebb and Flow First Nation west of Winnipeg. On Monday evening at around 11 p.m., St. Rose du Lac RCMP received a report of a man firing a sawed-off shotgun outside a home in the community and saying he was going to shoot a man down the road. RCMP from Dauphin, Winnipegosis, the RCMP emergency response team and the K9 unit tracked the man to the home of one of his friends. RCMP say he was arrested, the shotgun was found inside the home and seized, and no one was injured. 24-year-old Cyril Lavasseur has been charged with several firearm offenses and uttering threats. A 28-year-old woman was also arrested on a warrant for an unrelated matter. A Christian Indigenous school in southern Alberta has received an international award for their school project. That story after the break. Welcome back. The federal government announced funding which they say will strengthen Indigenous partnership in critical minerals development. Patty Haidu, the minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario, or FedNor, made the announcement on Wednesday. An $850,000 investment was announced for economic development projects across the region. The funding covers 14 Indigenous-led projects in Northern Ontario and is designed to support engagement, capacity building, and knowledge-sharing activities. It's tied to clean energy and transportation infrastructure initiatives related to critical minerals. Chief Paul Gladue says this would also be a good time to talk about building communications infrastructure. He pointed to the lack of stable internet and cell phone connections along the highway between Thunder Bay and his community.
You can't talk business on because you got a line and all of a sudden you get cut off. There's so many dead zones along the way. So, and in our community, like, it's the same thing. If you move your phone too quick, you get cut off. So, and having Starlink, don't get me wrong, Starlink brought us, to this day. But we sure like to have some good Wi-Fi and good optic line coming through.
Such an important point, though, and I do think that when we advance, roads, bridges, access and connection, that is the prime time to make sure we're doing the digital highway as well.
We are learning more about the fire in Winnipeg that left one building destroyed and a homeless shelter evacuated. The city's mayor and fire chief spoke with reporters on Wednesday afternoon. APTN Sav Jones now with the details.
The historic Man-Win Hotel in Winnipeg's downtown core was destroyed by a fire that began around 3:45 a.m. Wednesday morning. Fire crews were still blasting water on the wreckage into the afternoon, with an emergency demolition taking place soon after to remove whatever was left standing. The neighboring Main Street project, shelter and food bank, was evacuated as a precaution.
These buildings are all very important to our community, and I am very grateful for our crews for their hard work in preventing further damage to the buildings in the area.
Fire Chief Christian Schmidt says a crew arrived to the fire about 4 minutes after the 911 call, with a total of 49 firefighters at the scene within 15 minutes. He says no injuries have been reported, but added that they could not search the vacant Man-Win Hotel for squatters due to the fire conditions. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. The neglected hotel was used as a single-room occupancy for several years before being forced to close in February 2025 due to ongoing health and safety hazards.
It's always very, very unfortunate when we lose a heritage building in the city. But I think what has happened today is proof that we made the right call in shutting down the Man-Win a year ago. The building suffered from numerous fire safety issues, and this could have been a much worse tragedy if there were dozens of people still living there.
The hotel was put up for sale last year for just under $2.8 million before the listing expired. APTN investigates toured the building in 2024, revealing the shocking living conditions that tenants were subjected to. At the time, many of those living in the Man-Win Hotel were Indigenous people trying to evade homelessness.
All these properties that are vacant and derelict, not only are they a hazard to catch fire like we've seen today and put other properties at risk, and more importantly, residents at risk and our firefighters.
Winnipeg temperatures are expected to get colder in the coming days, hitting wind chill lows well below -30 over the weekend. That's already bad news for Winnipeg's unhoused population, but made worse with the Main Street project shelter now closed for a few days due to the fire. Roughly 300 people use the shelter daily, says their executive director, Jamil Mahmood. Other shelters in the city are making room in already tight spaces to help out. Sav Jones, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
For years, the remote Chatu Dene community in the Northwest Territories has been trying to replace their old one-room log schoolhouse. Now leaders of the Pimicikamak First Nation are saying a work plan has been agreed to by the territorial government to build a new kindergarten to grade 12 school. Of the 150 residents in Pimicikamak, 1/3 are school-aged. In 2020, APTN reported on overcrowding and septic issues in the old school and on absenteeism and staff burnout. Betzingde leaders say the new work plan comes after territorial politicians toured the community this month. It contains a timeline, and the new design reflects their cultural knowledge and will serve as a community hub.
We have a lot of young parents that want to go back to school, but then there's no daycare, etc. So when we did a design, the school, it included daycare, it included adult ed, that type of stuff, so that you're there with your children in that same facility. So those are all just a centralized educational facility. So those were discussions that the community contributed to.
Right away here over the course of the next month is to finalize the functional programming. So that's really those conversations around, the school population today is about 55 students. What are the projections based on the fact that Coville Lake is such a young population? What are some of those specialty spaces that right now off the hop they know that students are interested in? And so kind of those preliminary conversations around functional programming and student population.
2 Indigenous students from Alberta and their families are celebrating this week after their school project was recognized on the global stage and chosen for an international award and cash prize.
And the winner is Mamawi Ataskatan Native School.
Elias Mycat from Ermineskin Cree Nation and Kenyan Bull Mycat from Louis Bull were part of a school project that was chosen as one of the finalists for the prestigious 2026 Zayed Sustainability Award in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. According to officials, they were the sole representatives from North America. The Mycats, along with their school, the Mamawi Atosketan Native School, a Christian school near Ponoka, Alberta, submitted their idea for the Grower Farm project that will build a school garden and classroom hydroponics program that is expected to produce fresh food throughout the year while giving students on-hands experience in food sustainability. To their surprise on Tuesday, the project was chosen and the Mycats accepted the $150,000 cash prize, which will go towards the greenhouse. The project was chosen from almost 8,000 applications from 173 countries. In a statement, Ermineskin Cree Nation Chief Joel Mycat added, "Congratulations on your amazing achievement. You have made your nations very proud. We hope you enjoyed your travel experience to Abu Dhabi, and we hope that you continue on in your success in education and beyond. A huge congratulations on your award." We now want to tell you about this week's third web poll question. Over at aptnnews.ca, we ask, are there safe and secure shelter services where you live? You can answer yes, no, or unsure. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca/poll to have your say. We have more news after the break. Don't go away. Llewellyn for staying with us. St. John's rain in 8, Charlottetown rain in 7. Cartwright -4, the Grand River sunny and -22. -12 in Saguenay and clear skies there. Quebec City -1. Ottawa -13 and sunny. Sarnia -12. Sioux Lookout -13. Elliott Lake -18. -12 in God's Lake. Flurries in Thompson at -3. -4 in Princess Harbour. Gimli partly cloudy and -2. Partly cloudy in Regina at 2. Saskatoon 2. 1 in La Ronge. -7 flurries in Buffalo Narrows. Cloudy in Peace River at -10. Clear skies in Fort McMurray at -15. 0 in Lethbridge. Red Deer -1. 10 in Vancouver. -1 in Kamloops. -9 in Fort Nelson. Cloudy in Prince George at -4. Old Crow -23. -2 in Whitehorse. Yellowknife -28. Clear skies in Fort Simpson at -22. Sunny in Tuktoyaktuk at -26. Colville Lake -23. Chesterfield -21. Whale Cove -23. And Arctic Bay -34. Resolute -38. First Nation communities joined the Belleville Senators for their Indigenous Communities Night on the weekend. It was an evening for the Sens fans to celebrate Indigenous history, culture, and reconciliation. APTN's Annette Francis joined the celebrations and shares some of the highlights.
A sellout crowd filled the seats at the CAA Arena in Belleville, where Natasha Fisher sang the national anthem. As well, many had some new Sens merchandise to celebrate Indigenous Communities Night. These indigenized jerseys were created by Mohawk artist Brent Beauchamp, which were worn during the game. Although he was not at the game, Beauchamp said it was great to incorporate his Mohawk culture into the Sens logo.
It feels good to see something that's done by me on the ice, I guess. Like, for me growing up, I did play a lot of hockey, so like my dad was a AAA player, and he always wanted me to be a hockey player, but just to see the players wearing my design on their jerseys is pretty cool. And I think it's also great to have proper authenticity, I guess, and representation on the ice.
Belleville plays in the American Hockey League and is a farm team for the Ottawa Senators. Sens Vice President John Mathers says it's an opportunity to showcase and learn about Indigenous culture.
You see within the region the role the Indigenous people play, and as our role as a community leader is how can we drive deeper connection. And so it's about not doing it just one night, but using this night as a starting point to developing a continual learning and connection with the people within this region.
The evening was hosted in partnership with Seeing Red Media. Their manager, Jesse Smith, says it goes beyond a simple land acknowledgement. There's real change in action.
Honored to have Natasha Fisher here to sing the anthem. To have Brent Beauchamp from Six Nations design the jerseys that are worn tonight. We've got a lot of great comments on the jerseys already. And to know that the proceeds from fundraising from the jerseys are going to go to the Mohawk Language School at Tandaniga is very meaningful. Along with that, you know, the puck fundraiser are going to go to the youth Little NHL team from Alderville.
Alderville's youth play in the Little NHL tournament in March. But at the game, they also had an opportunity to show their entrepreneurial skills.
You know, the fundraising is really important for us, and being outside the community, I think even more so, because people get to see and learn what Little NHL is about, and it's even more important when you see our kids that are taking part in it. Like they're a part of the whole. They're not just playing the game during March break. They're a part of the fundraising, and they're out there and being out in the public because they know how important it is to be out in the public to doing that.
Indigenous Communities Night ends with a victory for everyone, as the Sens took a 6-3 win over the Toronto Marlies. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Belleville.
And that's all the time we have for your daytime newscast. Savannah Kelly will be back here for your evening newscast in a few hours. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, hi miigwech masi cho. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you again, same place, same time. Ekse.